Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new series, Wolf Pack Wednesday. This series is a brand new series that I want to commit to every single Wednesday indefinitely because I, A, need to be more accountable, and B, I also want to kind of revive a more continual series where I'm giving back to the community in terms of all of the stuff that I've been learning, pretty much what the channel has always been doing since day one. And it's always been the mission of this channel, which is to figure out how to help you, the content creator in the board gaming space, get better, improve, and figure out things alongside me. So today's topic, real quick before I get into that, I'm in a different background because I'm in the middle of revamping, because if any of you remember my old podcast, it was called Revamped, and I am revamping the studio set to match a brand new podcast area. I have some really fun ideas, and I want to bring in some content creators, some local content creators to make content around here. It's gonna be super fun, but it's gonna be a while before all of this stuff is redesigned. So that's the reason behind this brand new look, for like a temporary look, because my office is always a mess. You all know that. It's clean, but it's messy because you get me. Anyways, the second thing I also want to talk about before we dive into today's topic is if you have any questions for this Wolfpack Wednesday series all about helping content creators out. If you have any questions for me in terms of photography, gear, in terms of working with publishers, whatever it is, you name it, leave it down in the comments below, and I hopefully will make a future video about it on a Wolfpack Wednesday. I actually put a set of questions on Instagram, and this one comes from Diane from Woman Likes Board Games. So Diane, if you're watching this, thank you so much for putting out your question. And it's so timely because this is something that I've been wanting to make for quite some time, but now I have the exact reason to, because it's coming from all of you. So, question we're answering today: why have I stopped using board game media kits? Okay, first off, let me ask you this. What's the whole point behind these media sheets? What's the whole purpose behind them? There is one intention, and that is to sell your services. The board game media sheets, they used to be great. I used to, rant about them and show you a bunch of different examples and why I keep improving them, and I simplified them from like a 3-pager to a 1-pager, and now I don't use them at all. So I think I used to have an old media sheet up. I took it down because A, I think the program to upload documents expired, and B, I don't use them anymore. What I do use is a website. And the reason behind that is because it reduces the amount of questions that your client is going to have. So let me go ahead and pull up my website so you can see. Let's go ahead and go through this website first, and then I'll explain more reasons why I use this over a media sheet. So the first thing you see here is the get to know part. This is our work. I put our because it's always a team effort when I'm doing all these things. So this is what we have done in terms of lifestyle photography. And right away, you have, boom, back-to-back past clients that I've worked with. And this helps substantiate the type of work that you do. So first off, you're always going to tell a story. Even in your media sheets before, you're always telling a story. This is my first story. Hey, these are the people that I worked with before. This is the type of work I do. And then if you click on it, you get to see specific examples of the exact type of product that you're going to get if you book a service with me. So if I go to Bezier Games, you see past games that I've done with them. You also see the black and white photos I introduced now. Everything is very updated, very modern, and it is literally the definition of my current style and what I offer to clients. So this is more my lifestyle work. We go down a little bit, and now what's the next story? Next story is, well, what a lot of photographers do often outside of the board game field is they describe themselves as in 3 adjectives. And this doesn't go just for photographers, this goes for creatives in general. I always see this very common thing across all fields, and that is, how do you describe your work in 3 words? So again, for everyone that's watching that is not a photographer, doesn't mean that you can't do this, because all these principles apply as well. Here are 3 things that you should use to describe your content. If you can distill your style, if you can distill what you offer in 3 words, what are they going to be? For me, I chose one, which is modern. Modern is a really good fit, I think, to describe what I do, because every time you see board game content, at least before, it's definitely a lot more updated now, but at least when you see board game content initially, it's very old, very ancient. The style of board game stuff, board game content, is usually very outdated. So one mission that I have for my own style is to make it modern. And then I also provide a specific example to that, exactly what it looks like. Second one, custom. Reason why I chose custom is because with every single video that I do, I spend so much time learning the game, playing the game, figuring out what set is best with it, figuring out the colors and the amount of people. There's so much design that goes into all of these videos, these examples that you see. That's why I think custom is a great fit for how I describe the services that I provide. And last but not least, captivating. This is the one I wanted to end with, because out of everything that you see, the one thing that I really want to make sure is a good impact is this last word, which is captivating, because I want my content to grab your attention, to make you interested, to make the audience interested in the game and to learn more. So those are the 3 adjectives that I use personally to describe my stuff. And then we go down a little more and we go to testimonials. Testimonials I've described before, but the thing is, when you talk about testimonials in a board game client sheet, in a media sheet, the problem with that is that you have like a bunch of text and there's just so much clunkiness and blockiness in the one sheet that you have. So what's cool about having a website is that you can do things like this, where you can animate things out and you can focus in on one client at a time. Here's one from Leader Games, one from Brooke, here's one from Lindsay from Bezier Games, here's one from Jamie from Stonemaier Games. So it's really cool that you're able to cycle this, and it creates this very, very beautiful, professional looking presentation that board game media sheets don't do. So that's another reason why I chose to have my website, but more on that in a second. Let me just finish going through the rest of this with you, and then I'll explain the rest of the reasons specifically. A couple more things. Next one is the process. My number one most asked question by far is, how does your process work, Tim? And I simplified this in a 3-step process. Number 1, pick what you want. Number 2, secure your booking. Contracts come in afterwards, and then along with deposits and invoices. And then lastly, you receive your content. It's as simple as that. So my process honestly is very, very simple. This is for like typical client shoots in general. So this is how I want to break it down to them. And again, when you're making these sheets, when you're making, sorry, not sheets, we're updating it now. When you're making these websites and when you're making your portfolio, you want to make sure that you reduce the amount of text to as little as possible. And you also want to make sure that everything is clear, succinct, easy on the eyes. Something that's going to help the client get to the end solution, which is, how do you help them with their problem? Most of the time, when publishers are reaching out to you, their problem is that A, they're trying to help market their game, and B, they want to also present their game, right? So that's pretty much the 2 general categories of why publishers are reaching out to a content creator. They want to increase awareness, and they also want to expand reach. And that's how us as a content creator can help them do that. And then the second to last section is my pricing guide. So here I break down the 2 types of general things that I do. First one is what you saw earlier, and that is the lifestyle stuff. This is like my main line of work nowadays. So I have photos on the very left. I have my commercial in the middle, specific example of that one again. And third one is a combined package showing them both. And then right below them is exactly what they're going to get when you offer this specific asset. We break down to the next line. So those are for more like family-oriented games, games that are very light and airy. And then when we get to the second part of what I offer, the second part of my services, I also do commercials. So with commercials, they're different from my lifestyle stuff because it's a whole different look. This is more for strategy games, more for hobby games, as a lot of publishers call it. It's dark, it's moody, and even though in general you want to simplify your packages as much as possible, what you also want to do once you kind of establish yourself, and think about this later on, is diversify the content that you are already making. So for me, I love making photos and videos with models, but obviously that isn't as sustainable in terms of like everyday stuff. And also I need that creativity. So I need to be doing other things too. So that's where the commercials come in. This is actually what I do. Like, I feel like this is what my brand is most known for. And then later on they realize like, oh wait, Tim also does lifestyle photos with models too. So that's why I break down in general 2 different types of services. If you want photos of people, boom. If you want commercials and Kickstarter trailers, boom. And then here are the different types of content that's offered with those 2 brackets. So when you are designing your own services, think about A, how you can simplify them. B, specific examples that you can link to right then and there. That way they don't have to go to an external page like you would with a media sheet. And C, did I use letters or numbers? C, you also want to think about what exactly are you delivering to your client. Again, make everything simple. For me, if I have photos, boom, here it is with 4 models. And here's what you're going to get. You can get 50 plus lifestyle photos. You're also going to get an online gallery and so on. So that's how I break down my own types of services. And then the last part of this is something that I am very excited to share with you in a bit. And that is the Frosthaven commercial that's coming out very, very soon. But I just put out like a video that this is my most modern work. This is what I'm currently most proud of. So that's one way to give clients a good feel for your overarching stuff. And then as you move down, I have at the very end, frequently asked questions, because again, these are the questions that I mostly get asked. What's licensing like? What's like to produce a process like this? How long is it going to take until I get my photos? So typical things that all my clients ask all the time. If I can answer them on one page, I'm going to do so with that. And then we finish off with just the regular part of my website, which is, my Instagram and having that animate forward. So now that you know what exactly this updated form of a media sheet or my portfolio looks like, let me go ahead and get back to you about the reasons why I use a website over a media sheet nowadays. So the first one I told you was that it reduces the amount of questions, right? You always want to do that. If a client can just look through a sheet and they have everything answered, you are way more likely to book your services. That is done and done. Think about it, it's like Amazon or any online retail. It doesn't have to be Amazon. If you add stuff to cart and you know exactly what you want, guess what you can do afterwards? Complete purchase, right? If you can reduce those barriers in your own website, it's going to help you do that. Okay. Number two, you also are able to show more with one click. If you look back at the testimonial portion of my website, you can't do that with a media sheet. With a media sheet, you're going to throw up a whole bunch of blocks of text and there's just so much overwhelming text. But here you can focus in and even add in like a little background, and you get to really hone in on what exactly you want to show. And if they want to look more into whatever section it is, whether it's testimonials, whether examples, whether they are sections for your services, you can give them the flexibility to scroll through your website if they want to look more into that specific portion of your services. So that's what I do for my testimonials, just as one specific example, because you can show more with one click. Number three, you can also link your videos and photo galleries all on one page. Let's criticize my old stuff, for example. In my old media sheet, I had one photo and it was like my most impactful photo. But the thing is, if you see here, I'm trying to offer different services and also simplify them at the same time. I can't really show that if I show like one dragon photo, or if I show like one lifestyle photo, because then people think like, oh, that means you only do this one specific thing. But because you have an online website, you're able to show more. And again, they can look into more if they want to see specific examples. Like I can show 9 different photo galleries. You can't do that with a media sheet. So for me as a photographer, as a content creator, combine that together, it's helpful to show photo galleries. And then for videos, this applies to everybody because we're all making videos, right? And with these videos, they can literally click on a link and you can watch a YouTube video then and there. It doesn't take you to an external link. It doesn't take time to load. All these little details are what's going to separate your finisher, like your publisher trying to book you as someone that they want to work with, versus them looking to somebody else or them being overwhelmed with the amount of information and your presentation. So again, if you can eliminate all those details and make it as friendly as possible, those little details may not sound like they mean much, but they really do in terms of you closing the gap and sealing the deal with working with a publisher. So that is number 3. Their website is able to link videos and galleries all on one page. Number 4, I kind of touched on this earlier, but I really want to emphasize this, and that is you're able to break down your information in chunks. Some people are going to look through testimonials. Some people won't look through them at all. Some people want to see a FAQ. Some people won't even bother looking at that. But being able to give them the flexibility to look more into your services and different sections of what you offer is going to give them a lot more flexibility in terms of A, how they want to spend their time looking through your services, and B, being able to really sit on information that they want to choose. Long story short, instead of overwhelming your clients with a bunch of information, throwing all this text and pictures and videos and borders and all this crazy colorful stuff, instead of throwing all that information to them, give them the flexibility to look into a section more if they want to, because then it's a win-win for you, right? You can have a simplified sheet, but if they want to look more into it, boom, one click, they get to see an entire photo gallery. One click, they get to see more examples of what exactly it is that you are selling. You can't do that with media sheets. That's a big reason why I moved on to having a website too, or a portfolio, in order to showcase all this. And the last reason I want to tell you, which you probably figured out by now, and that is a better presentation. It honestly looks better overall to have a simplified website versus having a media sheet. Media sheets, they're so outdated, and like you send them out in an email, they have to look through them, they gotta download them, versus clicking one link, boom. And then they have everything that they need and they can just scroll down as they please. You can't do that with Media Sheet. And I feel like Media Sheets are so outdated because of that. On top of that, let's say you have one of these, business card. You're not going to be able to link a PDF to your business card. And if you do, it's inconvenient. Instead, you want to link it directly to your website that we have everything all in one place. Hi, Future Tim here. I totally forgot to mention one really big one, and that is changes. You can't make changes to Media Sheets once we email them off. But then with our websites, we can constantly update them, add in different descriptions, update our pricing, from a year ago. And I kid you not, I've actually had repeat clients that have reached out to me from like 3 years ago. And I'm not the same photographer I was 3 months ago, let alone 3 years ago. So of course, a lot of things are gonna be changing, a lot of things are gonna be updating. Not all the time, but frequently enough for you to have something that is readily available for you to change. You can make those changes on a website, can't do that on a one sheet. With the website, what I've seen that's super, super cool in the wedding industry, at least, is that I've seen other photographers add in really cool modules that helps accelerate their client to booking procedure. And what I mean by that is that they're able to add in, like, you have an add to cart option. You also have like a meeting option. You can add in a calendar, and you can do all this in that same page. You can't do that with the one sheet. With one sheet, they got to email you back and then ask you more questions. But then with a website, you can do all that from the get-go. So if you have like a very simple service, like, hey, I want to stream on this specific day. I want my game streaming on one day before my Kickstarter. Boom, you can just book like that specific service and have that already done for you. Now, obviously, I'm just exaggerating the point here, but it actually is a pretty practical idea. Imagine if you are a streamer and you want to have a service that is just available at any time. Like, I want you to stream a playthrough of my game on this date. You put that on your website, they can add that to cart, complete purchase, and everything's done with like little to no communication. Of course, you're gonna follow up, and there's a lot of things that I know people are gonna say after this, but again, it's having that ease of access that allows us to give us that flexibility when designing a website portfolio just like this versus having a one sheet. And same with meetings. I've seen photographers have like a scheduling system and everything's done on one page. So those are just a few examples of what you can do with having an online portfolio like this versus having a one sheet PDF. Again, you don't have to do this. You don't have to abandon your PDF sheet, your one sheet, and just like make a portfolio right away. But this is just something that I've been doing and that I'm experimenting with for the past 6 to 8 months. And I'll be honest, does it lead to more bookings? Hard to say. It's hard to kind of measure that. But I will say for sure that has led to asking a lot less questions from the client side to my side, which A, saves me time, and B, it also tells me one specific thing too. It tells me that what they are asking about is all answered on this one sheet. What does that do? It closes that gap between securing that deal, which is ultimately, at the end of the day, this is what you're watching it for, right? You're interested in booking your services. You're interested in simplifying that whole process and making it so that way you are able to book more clients. So that is my very first Wolfpack Wednesday. I hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you all gained something from it. If you did, you know exactly what to drop for our first ever Wolfpack Wednesday. Again, let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about what we talked about today, or if you have a burning question that you want to ask for next Wednesday, then let me know. But with that said, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one.